But if you are a maybe content creator, I use that example because this conversation actually sparked from me speaking to a content creator. If you're a content creator and maybe you just sell DIY kits or maybe you just sell courses, that's cool. Like I came from that world. I get it, right? There's a time and a place for it. You can put it on autopilot where you can sell kits. But I think taking it a step further is that you can't necessarily build out different divisions beyond of where that product is. What that means is you don't necessarily have the bandwidth or enough in terms of info to sell where now you have a coach set up in place. You don't have enough info to sell where now you have maybe an agency that's maybe helping clients run their ads for them within the business. Maybe if you're just selling a course, you constantly have to readjust the information that's in there because number one, people are either biting chunks off of it and then they're just repackaging it and reselling it, which sucks because then it becomes commoditized. Or second, you end up getting it pirated, which I've had that before, especially in the lower ticket space. It's very common where someone, spam account buys the product and then it ends up on a website all over Google. Like I see that all the time with people. There's really no way of preventing that. One of the ways that you can prevent that though is through service, because in a service, people have to deal with you directly, either face to face, over the phone, on Zoom. So it's a actual human to human experience, and cowards that are usually pirating stuff, they're not going to actually jump on a call with you or your team. They're just going to rip it and then either charge back or just rip it and then put it all over the internet and then charge. If you were selling it for like $100, and I'm speaking from experience, you're charging $100 for it, they'll sell it for like $10 as an example. I'm giving you worst case scenarios, but the reason why I like service-based businesses is because it naturally builds a moat around your company and around you, the brand, which makes you more competitive and keeps you less commoditized in a crowded market. Number two, which I kind of touched on, it's hard to copy. So if you're doing a service-based business, someone would literally have to hire you, see your processes, see how you think through your frameworks, see how you think through problems, and then see how you deliver a solution. And the cool thing about service-based businesses is that, especially depending on what you're offering, so I'll use the example of a tax company, is that every year your client's gonna come back, especially if you pick the right type of clients. And in my opinion, the right type of clients, if you have a tax company, if it's like you're doing bookkeeping. So if you have someone that just got an LLC, that means that every quarter they have to pretty much check in with you to make sure that they have their filings in place. Every year they have to check in with you to make sure that all their fees, franchise fees, taxes on the personal side and on the business side is up to date. The cool thing about that is that at every level, they're going to check back in with you because it's changing at every level. So they first open up their LLC. Guess what? They hire you the first year to help them file their books. But guess what happens? Year number two is they say, wait a minute, my business did pretty well in income. And so I hired my first contractor and my first employee. I don't know how to do this. So guess what? They say, okay, let me come back to you again so that you can help me out with this. So you file their taxes again. But guess what happens on year three? Their business does even better. And so now they come back to you, hey, I'm looking for some deductions so that I can continue to maybe lower my tax bill. So you see where we're going with this? So the same thing happens in the service-based business, which you can't necessarily do with a course, which means that it's more difficult to copy versus them actually being in there, understanding the SOPs, understanding the process, and then trying to reverse engineer it. So the golden ticket to this, it's even if somebody was going to copy you, and I learned this actually from a teacher of mine, even if somebody's going to copy you, once it breaks, they don't know how to fix it. So shout out to Mr. Chambers on that. Gave me that lesson back in high school. Number three is you can charge way more if you do what I'm about to mention next. So in service-based businesses, it's a skill set. It's a high-level skill set that people will pay a lot of money for. And so I was actually talking to my team about this. If you have a high-level skill set in the service-based industry, or in a service-based business rather, you're able to charge more money for that than, say, again, if you were just selling like a one-off product. And the important thing to know about that is even if you feel like someone knows more about you because they quote unquote make more money, again, I was talking to my team about this morning, is just because somebody makes more money than you doesn't necessarily mean that they don't need your help or need your service. I'll give you an example. How many millionaires and billionaires hire personal trainers? A lot of them, right? Even though they most likely already know what to do. You eat less, you move more if you're looking to lose some fat, and then you eat more and you lift more if you're looking to put on some muscle. Like that's it. But even though these millionaires, again, if we're using that context, make way more money than a personal trainer, because personal trainers, especially the majority of them, they don't really make a lot of money between us. I speak to a couple of them, so they tell me what they make. A lot of them are struggling, unfortunately. They still get hired to work with these people, even though, again, they make far more money than them, because they want the accountability, which is like the other side of service-based businesses, is that people often hire you for accountability. They often hire you for risk mitigation, meaning they don't want to risk doing it wrong, even if they kind of have an idea of doing it themselves. And then lastly, you can help them save more time. Now that we have that out the way, I want to give you what I got. 1, 2, 3, 4 different, I'd say, pieces to the puzzle that I've used. And I'm not just giving you, numbers that I kind of pulled out of my head. No. Like, I've been down that path of 250, right? So I have a clear understanding of how to go from 0 to 250. And so I hope to impart that over to you. So the first thing that you want to do is, and again, I'm giving you everything that I've done, is take free calls, do free sessions. This is going to do a couple things for you. You're going to learn more about the problem, the person, and your solution. Again, you're going to learn more about the problem that the person has, the actual person, meaning the client that you're looking to service, and then your product or your service for the information, the software, the expertise that you're selling.